Y'all make sure y'all check out the Retro Philosophy Show on YouTube with my man Retro. Like, subscribe, comment, share, copy the link, put it on Instagram in your bio, put it on your Facebook page. Send it to your mama, text it to somebody. But y'all make sure y'all follow this page, Retro Philosophy.
Several people in my family had cancer, and a few of them had colon cancer, but they didn't talk about it, so I didn't know about it. It was a hush-hush thing for some reason. I was diagnosed with stage 3 colon cancer. I was 43 years old at the time. The silence stops here. Men in general don't want to go to the doctor. Black men don't want to go to the doctor. But if you understand that if you just go get checked, then you might be able to get in front of it. I just want people to understand that colon cancer is detectable, is treatable, and is beatable. And early detection is key. At the first chemo treatment, me and my wife was talking, and I was just so determined to beat this. I'm an avid motorcycle rider. We started a Facebook page called Beat Cancer Then Ride. We vlogged every 2 weeks on what was going on. We pretty much videoed the trip to the doctor's office, because when it happens to you, you feel really alone. I don't have a fear of dying, but I didn't want to leave her. That was my biggest drive, to be cancer-free for her and for my boys. I've been really fortunate to be able to beat cancer and ride my motorcycle, and she rides with me.
Community that we have to take care of. We have kids that are depending on us. I call them my scholars, I call them my future leaders, because that's what they are. When I let them know, don't forget about where you were raised, be proud of where you come from, and give back. It seems more family in Riverview Gardens. It would just be wonderful to get some people to get some of those jobs and help us get these scholars where they need to be. There's a new view on the horizon where learning is required.
So you already know me and my murals. So we got this one right here, California Dreaming. You know, it is what it is. And little dude get his little photo op in with the bikes. That's what it's all about, though. So check it out, man. You already know, if you got any murals in your city, in your town, man, holla at your boy, man. I'm coming through and get that snapshot, get that photo op, you know what I mean? And I tell you what, man, I'll even take you out for lunch. How about that? California Dreaming. Yes, sir. You already know what it is, folks. It's your boy Retro with you on today, man. Some technical difficulties earlier. We won't talk a whole lot about that. So we had to kind of throw together a little something else so that we can, because I just felt compelled to talk to you tonight. So make sure you holler at me in the comment section. Let me know if you can hear me loud and clear. Hopefully you can. And if not, I'm going to feel defeated. So somebody, I see a few of you guys are on here. So somebody let me know, can you hear me? Can you hear me? Is all well? Is it well? We want to talk about a serious topic tonight. For those of you who may not know, typically what we do is on Thursdays, we're trying to designate this night for the time when we would talk about things, more specifically to motorcycle ministry. I happen to ride with Kingdom Alignment Motorcycle Ministry. As you can see in the background, we are, let me see, yeah, in the background there, we are sponsoring, we have at least put together a ride, the Four Corners of North Carolina. And so we did it this past weekend. We have Georgia on deck. So those of you guys out there in the Atlanta area, in the Georgia area, we already have the registration page up for that as well. You can go to Kingdom Alignment Motorcycle Ministry and look in the, featured section. And the registration link is there. So anyway, I ride with a motorcycle ministry, Kingdom Alignment Motorcycle Ministry. We do the best that we can, and we make every effort that we can to try and fellowship with other motorcycle ministries. And on Thursday nights, we want to bring content that was pertinent for motorcycle ministry. So tonight's topic is the recovery process. Okay, I happen to believe that motorcycle ministry should play a major role, should play a major part in the process of recovery. All right. Now, we all know someone who is affected by drugs, the use of drugs, and it may affect different people differently. There are some people who I know this one particular individual, and they said they stay away from drugs and certain things because their family, historically, I don't know if I should say historically, but their family is known to carry what is called the addictive trait, or the and so they have a lot of alcoholics, drug addicts that are in the family. And so this particular individual was afraid of drugs and alcohol because they didn't want to see themselves follow suit. Okay, now I think that we are all recovering from something. Okay, you might say, well, look, I ain't got a drug problem. Well, I had a drug problem. I did at a very young age. My mother drugged me to church. She drugged me to church. So I tell people all the time I had a drug problem at a very young age, and being a little facetious there. But however, there are some people who are addicted to church. I really need my sound effects for this stuff here. I'm running with a very thin, but anyway. Yeah. There are some people who are addicted to church, and I've said this before, and I'll move on. There are some people who swap one addiction for another. They're no longer smoking crack. They're no longer snorting coke. They're no longer shooting heroin. They're no longer smoking reefer. But they have become addicted to programs. I was talking to someone the other day. They said, if someone tells me about another program, I'm going to lose it. We program the people to death, and church in and of itself. And hear me clearly now. When I say church, what I'm talking about is the building, and just going to church is no shoe-in for one's deliverance. Where the deliverance comes in play is not just one's relationship with Christ, but one's obedience to Christ as it pertains to your relationship with Christ. I'm just saying. I'm just saying. And so as a motorcycle ministry, we have to be aware of these things. There are places that we can go, or we will go, that the average church goer probably will not go. And when we go into these places, we have to be strategic. We have to be mindful. We've got to walk in wisdom, and we cannot afford for our good to be evil spoken of, if you will. My mind goes to Lot, who was down in Sodom and Gomorrah, down in that area, and he was just sitting there, and he wouldn't speak out against the evil or the wickedness that was going on. And then when it was time to speak, or when he thought he should speak, it was too late because he had already lost his influence. One thing I do not want to become, and I don't think one thing I do not want to become, and nor can any of us afford to become, is the clown. Is the what do you call it? The town idiot. The town clown, if you will. We've got to understand who we are and whose we are. And there is a standard that we must maintain. I say it all the time. There are some things you may choose to do in your own spare time, personal time, and not everything is a sin thing. Not everything that we do is necessarily unto sin. However, it could damage one's testimony. It could be a stumbling block to someone else. So case in point, let's talk about liquor, alcohol, and so, everyone, there's a lot of people that say, well, Jesus, his first miracle was turning water into wine. So, it can't be bad. And tomato, to each his own, if you will. But what about the individual that feels that, that's not the thing for a Christian to do? Okay, I'm not even going to talk about whether it's right or wrong. But what I am going to bring up is the fact that there are many people who would agree that that drinking of alcohol is not something that's becoming of a Christian. Okay. And so with that said and done, suppose you out having a drink with your homies because you want them to see that you're cool or that you're, you fit in with them or whatever. You'd be surprised what people do to fit in. And someone sees you, throwing back that Alizé, throwing back that Henny, throwing back that, whatever it is, and they said, "Dag, I thought he was a Christian. I thought she was saved." And he or she doing such and such. So we have to be careful that we don't let our good be evil spoken of, that we don't lose our testimony and or lose our influence, so the recovery process for different people looks differently. Okay, I shared my testimony last week, I believe it was, and it's funny because I remember saying, I don't know why I'm going here, but and so I got a call from a gentleman. And he began to explain to me that my testimony and his testimony were extremely similar, And so, again, we go to the book of Revelations where it tells us that they were overcome by the blood of the Lamb and the words of their testimony. You understand what I'm saying? We got Tiffany Renee in the building. Ladies and gentlemen, I don't have my sound effects, so I really need you to help me make some noise up in this piece on this evening. All right. So what's up, Tiffany? Thank you for joining. And so the recovery process looks different for different people. Now, as it relates to my testimony, I shared how, the Lord literally, he took the taste from me. I was a pothead, and I'm not ashamed to say it, and I got to a point where, I'm like, I gotta do something. Something's got to give, and one of my concerns was whether or not I would be able to kick the habit, quite frankly, because I didn't want to. I enjoyed how it made me feel and so on and so forth. So I was like, but it was something that God literally took from me. What am I saying? What I'm saying is he took it from me, right? But there were other things that he did not take. I had to go through the process, okay? And so you may stumble and struggle, but you've got to understand you're going through a process. We got to stop looking at everybody else and say, well, Retro said on the show, man, that, the Lord just took it. Well, that's what he did for me, and how he's going to deal with you. It can be completely different. Okay. I think that we have to be careful because some of us, we have given up on people who really needed our support. And I know you're tired of Ray, you're tired of Pookie, you're tired of, whoever it is, because, some people fall off the wagon over and over and over and over again. Okay. All right. I hear you. I hear you loud and clear. Okay. I hear you. How many times did you fall off though? I know, yeah, you never smoke crack, you never, this, that, or the other, but there is something that you did do, okay? And the question is, how many times did you fall off the wagon? We don't always get it the first go round. And that's why I always say, I'm so grateful to God because he is the God of another chance. Not a second chance or a third chance, but simply another chance. And he's able to take our sins and cast them in the sea of forgetfulness. But what we've got to do first, ladies and gentlemen, we've got to repent. Yeah, we've got to I'm turning my head around again, y'all. We got to repent, man. Oh my goodness. I'm taking my glasses off. I need you to look into my orbital sockets. We got to repent. And we've got to realize if God can do it for us, he can do it for them. He can do it for them. So let's see here. Let me close this. So the recovery process, for one, it might be 6 months. There are some people. I was talking to a gentleman and he was sharing his testimony with us. And he says, look, man, I'm a recovering addict. He says, I've been clean. I want to say it was like 20, 30 years he's been clean. I know it was a long time. I think it was over 20 years that he's been clean, but he still considers himself a recovering addict. Okay, let's look at that for a moment. Because if you think because you've been clean for 6 years, you good. The Bible says, if a man thinks he stands, take heed lest he fall. In other words, we cannot become so lifted up in our own pride, accomplishments, success, et cetera, and mess around and lose footing. We've got to be very, very careful of those things, you know. And so it's a process, and I'm glad that He is the God of not just a second chance, but another chance. I used to my second, my third, my first chance, and my second chance, and my third chance over. I mean, so long ago, folks, so long ago. So the recovery process, you know, it may take time. My man said, "I'm a recovering addict." And when you hear that, you think that, you know, maybe just last week, last month, you know, last year. No, no, he's been clean 30 years. But he understands all it takes is one bad decision. And the bad decision, folks, and this is applicable to more than just drugs, okay? More than just alcohol. The bad decision was not to go and smoke that crack. The bad decision was not to go and, inject that heroin, snort that. That wasn't the bad decision. There were other bad decisions or bad choices that led to that bad decision. So what I'm saying is there are some things we can prevent if we stand tall to begin with. I hope am I making sense to anybody tonight? No one just wakes up and says, you know what, today's a beautiful day to ruin my life. I think I'm gonna go ruin my life. What happens is we begin to relax standards. We begin to allow borders to be either moved or become compromised. And as a result of those borders and perimeters and things becoming compromised, things begin to creep in, and before you know it, you find yourself in the pig's pen, like the prodigal son. Okay, so the recovery process. Let me talk about this for a moment. I won't be too much longer. Thank you for pressing play on tonight. Let's see here. And if you desire to call 980-222-4492, I think we could still make a phone call happen just in case you wanted to call in on tonight. Let me check something real quick here. Excuse me. But the recovery process, okay? So there are some people who find themselves in certain predicaments. And because they find themselves in certain predicaments, that's too big, folks. Let's see if we can try something else. I'm trying to be a little bit jiggy here. I guess we'll work. Well, that's kind of clashing, don't you think? Okay, anyway. As you can see in the background, the NC Four Corners, we're going to talk about that before we get out of here. Genesis Ride, we'll talk about that a little bit later as well. I got to do a new graphic for that one because we do our Genesis Ride every January 1. So you guys stay tuned for that. But you find yourself in a situation, right? You're hooked, you're a fiend, you're whatever you call it, But is that the worst place you've ever been? Let me see if I can make it make sense. Just because you're going through the recovery process, as a matter of fact, because you're going through the recovery process, it's proof that you're in a good place. If you are going through a recovery process, then you have already acknowledged your addiction. You have already acknowledged the fact that you are hooked on something that you've got to get off of. Okay. And I just got to say this. Don't you be the one to push somebody off the wagon. So, well, I didn't make them smoke that crack. No, you didn't make them smoke that crack. But I think it was Grandmaster Flash that said, don't push me. I'm close to the edge. I'm trying not to lose my head. It's like a jungle sometimes. It makes you wonder how you keep from going under. And I think some of us, we are this source. Maybe I shouldn't say source, but we are the responsible party for some people who have fallen off the wagon. Lord, I'm saying, Lord, have mercy on us, Jesus. And so let's be conscious of that. I think we have to be, the Bible says, be slow to, what is it? Slow to anger and slow to speak and swift to hear, something like that. So in other words, my mother used to tell me like this: you got two of these and one of these for a reason. Be quick to hear and slow to speak. Because see, a lot of times, and I tell the church this all the time, a lot of times we are responding. We are reacting, not responding. There's a difference between reacting and responding. Okay, when you react, it's like a knee-jerker thing. It's more from an emotional place. But when you respond, it's more from an intellectual place. Okay, you've stopped it for a moment so you can process it, versus just letting your emotions react. Okay, and that's what a lot of people do. They try to get a reaction out of you. But sometimes we will react to situations that push people over the edge. But if we would just pause for a moment and considered what was really going on, I know what she said was foul, and we can deal with that later. But let's see what got her to that place. Have you ever saw somebody say they just always mad, they just mean, but yet still you never stop to wonder what got them to that place? There's a guy, he owns some property adjacent to our church, and he's just always mean. I mean, old dude, and he's just, I mean, how you doing, sir? He just grunts, and he just mean, hard to get along with. And and I got to the point where I said, he doesn't know me like that for it to be personal. So therefore, it must be a flaw in his character. It must be something that he has experienced in life. And and it's my wife and I, we went for a ride tonight, and we sat down and we were talking, and a particular individual's name came up, and we were talking about the way he is, and then we both came to the conclusion he's that way because he's been hurt, and hurting people hurt people. And so what I'm saying is, a lot of times people are hurt, they're damaged, they're struggling mentally and other ways, and therefore they do certain things, and we see their actions and not understand the cause of their actions, and therefore we add fuel to their fire, when in all actuality, if we were to pause and react instead of respond instead of react, we might be the one to break the cycle for them. I can't tell you the amount of times I've had people who didn't like me, and we didn't get along. But once I was able to get to a place where I didn't take it personal, we were able to look at it differently. And because we were able to look at it differently, we were able to approach it differently. And because we were able to approach it differently, we were able to get different results from the circumstances. Y'all ain't hear me, but I'm gonna keep on trying anyway, because it's your boy Retro, and that's what we do. I mean, I'm just saying. I'm just saying. And so we have to be careful. I reference the Apostle Paul quite a bit because in the beginning, Paul was young. He was vivacious. He was, had that tunnel vision, and he was a strong man in God. And Tiffany says, love the message. Thank you, sis. Thank you, sis. Thank you very much. And so the Apostle Paul, in his younger age, was on a missionary journey along with Barnabas and a young man named John Mark. If you watched my show, you probably heard me reference it before. John Mark turned back. He was young, inexperienced, maybe even a little naive, and who knows what else. But he turned around. He wouldn't or didn't complete the journey with them. So Paul didn't get over that. And so now it's time for them to go on their second missionary journey. Paul and Barnabas, two powerhouses in and of them, in their own right. And so now Barnabas is like, okay, I'm about to go get John. And Paul's like, oh, no, sir, no, ma'am. No, not going down, because he left us. And but never once did he inquire as to why John Mark turned back. I know they're doing what they're doing to you, but maybe it's because you remind them of what they should be doing, but yet still they're not doing. Because guess what? We both got up the same way this morning. We both, one foot on the ground at a time. Well, I don't know, maybe you jumped on both feet, but you understand my point, right? We put our pants on the same way, one leg at a time. Well, maybe you jump into yours, I don't know, but you understand the point that I'm making. Okay, all right. I was talking to my beautiful daughter the other day, yesterday, I believe it was, and as we were talking about a particular situation, I reminded her. I said, baby girl, it rains on the just as well as the unjust. And so what that means in essence is, we both got the same luck for the most part. You know, it rains on. In other words, you can be filthy, dirty, but when it rains, you're gonna get rained on too. And you can be perfectly clean, and when it rains, it's gonna rain on you too. You can't say, "Well, why is he's raining on them? They shouldn't get no rain because they've been filthy." It rains on the just as well as the unjust. You know, and so, but some people, you remind them of success that they failed to go after, and they don't know how to deal with it. They don't. I should say they don't like to deal with it. I said this before. I'll say it again, and I'll move on. Sometimes the gifting on your life, sometimes the God in you, the anointing on your life, disrupts and disturbs the demons in some people. It's nothing you did to them. It's the mere fact that the godliness that's on you shows up. Okay, you understand where I'm going with this, right? Now, when that happens, does that make that person a bad person who's hating on you? You heard me say this over and over again. Your haters are confused admirers. And you've got to get that through your skull. And don't floss on them because you know they watch. I just saw something earlier today, and a lady, she was saying, I see you watching me because I see you watching me. I'm going even harder. And I get it, but at the same time, don't let that be your motive to go hard. As they say, go hard in the paint just because they watching. That means, therein is your reward. I don't know about you, but I want longevity. I don't want, to be blessed with certain things just so I can say, nah, look what I got and you don't have. Nah, bro. I want to be blessed with certain things so I can be a blessing to others. I want to be blessed with certain things so that I can leave a legacy, and not just a legacy of things, but more importantly, the legacy that I want to leave is the fact that matter of fact, I want to wake up, I want to turn over in my casket and be so surprised that I touched so many people. I'm just saying. And so I get up every day for the most part. And, I come on here and I talk to you guys, and, I try to be, encouraging. And, but, there's a question I ask God sometimes. Sometimes I ask God, I said, God, who encourages the encourager? And who prays for the prayer warrior? Come on, you understand what I'm saying? However, it's something that I feel I must do, and therefore I will continue to do it. The recovery process. Let's talk about it. There's the obvious drug addiction, and then there are other addictions. But as it relates to recovery, it is not just drugs and alcohol and things of that nature that we need to recover from. Some of us need to recover from bad relationships. Yeah, it didn't freeze that time. I just wanted to pause and look in your orbital sockets while you look into mine. I think the camera right there, Some of us, we need to recover from bad relationships. People jump out of bad relationships and then they ruin potential good relationships because they didn't take time to recover. Sometimes you need to take a me moment, a me season. Don't go jumping in that relationship. You ain't ready. He ain't ready. Y'all ain't ready. I'm just saying, I know who I'm talking to, but I hope you're listening. Recover first. So some of us, we need to recover from bad relationships. Some of us need to recover from stinking thinking. My definition of a stronghold is a faulty process of thinking, and sometimes we need time and space to process some things. My wife and I, we were having some Chinese food tonight. When we went for our little ride, we stopped and got us some Chinese food. And right before we got ready to leave, I opened up my fortune cookie, and my fortune cookie read, you don't know the worth of water until your well runs dry. So true, folks. And sometimes we need to process how important and how valuable things and even people are before we jump into that next relationship. so on and so forth. The recovery process, ladies and gentlemen, it may take time, but be patient. Go through the process. Don't rush it. Don't rush it, because if you rush it, you may not be processed. The process is to process you. In other words, if you're processed correctly, then you will be preserved. Sometimes we want to rush through things so quick just to get to the end. And when we get to the end, we realize that there were so many things that we missed. I've never been a big gamer, okay? But there was what I'm trying to remember what game console it was. It might have been ColecoVision, Sega Genesis, maybe, I don't know. But I believe the game was like Mario Brothers, maybe Sonic the Hedgehog. As a matter of fact, it was both of those. Both of those games had a similar scenario where you could, get coins and rings. Sonic the Hedgehog, you can get rings and all that stuff, and they would accumulate to points. Or you can just zoom through and get to the end of the not stage, but end of the that end of the level. You know what I mean? And there were different times. Sometimes I would just zoom through it, and then I get to the end and I didn't have enough coins. And then sometimes I would spend so much time trying to get coins that, and so, but my point is, don't zoom through things only to get to the end and realize that you missed so much. I took a picture. I was coming down Route 21, getting ready to get on Interstate 77 in Troutman. Okay. And so as I'm turning on to the interstate, I see right there in the divider, all these wildflowers had just sprouted up. Okay. This was maybe a few months ago, right? And guess what I did, folks? I stopped to take it in. Yeah, I stopped to admire it. I took a nice little photo op. And that's what we need to do in life. Sometimes we need to slow down and take a look at the flowers. Take a look at the things that have sprouted up. How many of us go through life on a daily basis, missing things that God has allowed to sprout up in our life, to give us fragrance, to give us, beauty, to give us, amazement, and so on and so forth. Sometimes right in your own home, you're so busy going to get that bag that you don't even realize that your child or your wife is trying to, slow down. Slow down. And the reason why we're not slowing down is because we have not recovered from things previous. Maybe you grew up in poverty and you so success driven because you don't want to be poor. Only to end up being richly poor. Yeah, you got a whole bunch of money, but you're poor. Your relationships are suffering. You're not even a good person. People tolerate you because you got the bag. People tolerate you because you can make things happen. But the question is, do they love you? Do they cherish you? Do they miss you when you're gone? Or do they say, "Ooh, I'm so glad he gone"? Come on, bruh. The recovery process, folks. The recovery process is so very important. Look here, I'm not going to worry your patience on tonight, man. I just really felt compelled to get on. I tried to get on this morning. We ran into some technical difficulties. I tried to get on earlier tonight. Same thing. And so I got one last Hail Mary to put into play to kind of address this issue, and that's the next thing. Issues, they're gonna pop up. We'll never be free of issues. But when they show up, sometimes you got just take them head on. Sometimes you're gonna have to look within, because some of the issues that we are dealing with is our own fault. It's our own. I don't want to say. I talked earlier about compromising your borders and your your borders, your barriers, and things of that nature. And so when we do that, it gives place for certain issues to pop up. So what I'm saying is, when these issues begin to happen, sometimes we need to just do some self-inventory, you know, because we can make it happen. I said we got to pray like it all depends on God. But when we get up, we got to work like it all depends on us. Yo, it's your boy Retro, man. And that's my message for tonight, man. The recovery process. Remember, folks, my recovery process and yours might not be the same. You know, I might be able to kick the habit in 3 days and it might take you 3 years. But in those 3 years, notice your notice your progress and just, be thankful for that and just keep going in that direction. Don't give up. You said, well, bro, you don't understand, man. I done fell off the wagon 4 times. We'll get back up 5 times and just keep it going. God's grace, it is sufficient. God doesn't have a problem with your problem. He's got a problem when you won't acknowledge him. He's got a problem when you won't acknowledge your problem. Because as I was saying earlier, if you are on or in the recovery process, you've already acknowledged your fault. And that's half the battle, because some people walk around here in denial. Nah, man, I ain't got no drug problem, man. I'm good, man. I'm good. Nah, bro, you a fiend. Yeah, you a fiend, bro. Dude, you need to get some help. Nah, man, I'm good, man. I'm good. Nah, bro, you need to get some help, man. So if you are in a place of recovery, don't let nobody browbeat you. Don't let nobody put you down. You've already owned your faults and flaws, but they haven't owned theirs yet. And one of the biggest flaws that they have is that they think they're better than you. One of the biggest flaws that they have is they think they can't end up where you are coming from. And the devil is a liar. Yeah. It's funny because people will talk about somebody in a situation, right? Let's just talk about, I don't know, Ray the crackhead, right? And they'll talk about Ray. Oh, he just, he on that stuff and, blah, blah, blah. And again, they don't know what happened to Ray. They don't know why Ray in that situation. They don't know why he's smoking that crack. He could have been through some stuff. He could have gone through some stuff, right? That had they went through a fraction of it, would not only be on crack, but they might have taken their own life. So Ray, he doing good. I mean, yeah. So just be careful. Be careful not to put your mouth on people, because everybody's got a story. And as I often say, as I close, every saint has a past and every sinner has a future. Please understand and know that God loves you, and he loves you unconditionally. So you can cast all your care upon him because he cares for you. Now, let me take care of some business and we're going to close this thing on out. The NC Four Corners, if you are from North Carolina, or you are in North Carolina, or you are close to North Carolina, or you say, well, hey, I like the state of North Carolina, then, this ride is for you. The NC Four Corners. When I tell you it's a beautiful ride, man, and we got a cool little patch. That's what you see in the background, man. And so upon completion of the ride, you will get the patch. It's a 3-inch patch. They're being made as we speak. They should be here hopefully within the next few days. And so we already had a group to do the ride. They actually did it with us, the Kingdom Alignment Motorcycle Ministry. And so they will be getting the patch. And if you do this ride, you will get the patch. You will also get a NC Four Corners certificate of completion, and a few other goodies that we're going to be throwing in the registration bag. So all you have to do is go over to our Facebook page, Kingdom Alignment Motorcycle Ministry. And at the top where the featured posts are, you can see the link, for the NC Four Corners. Now we also have a link up for the GA Four Corners, because Georgia is on deck. That'll be knocked out on next month. So if you're in the Georgia area and you'd like to do that, you can also go to Kingdom Alignment Motorcycle Ministry, and in the featured tab up top, just click on the GA Four Corners, and all the information. The route is on there as well. We've had some people already sign up. We've got some other people that are promising to do it. go ahead and do it, folks. Again, it's a beautiful ride, man. From the beach to the mountains, or from the mountains to the beach, whichever one you start first. We started in Wilmington, then went up to Kitty Hawk, and then stopped in Rocky Mount, hung out with the street soldiers. They'll be taking off next month as well. I think they got about 8 or 11 folks that they're going to be doing the ride, the NC Four Corners, and so we want to encourage you to do it as well. Beautiful, beautiful ride. We left Rocky Mount, went on over to Sparta and down to Murphy, and then back to the Charlotte area. And I tell you, absolute beautiful ride. Now, if you do it, I would suggest that you go through the Sparta and the Murphy area during the daytime, because there's some pretty good mountains that you got to ride through. And we ended up going through it at nighttime, but I would have preferred it to be daytime. Even at night, it was beautiful. So again, make sure you like and share. If you have not already gone up to the YouTube channel, please do so, like and subscribe. And I think we're gonna get on our Charles way, man. Oh yeah, it's 11:30. It's time to go. Thank you for those who pressed play. C1s is in the building. He came and hit us up and rode a portion of the ride with us. We got a challenge ride that's coming up too. I'll tell you guys a little bit more about that. I might have stuck my foot in my mouth, but it's okay. It's okay. You know, we're gonna follow through. We're gonna follow through. But we'll have a special show to talk all about that here in the here soon. But again, Georgia is on deck for next month. We got Florida on deck. We got Virginia on deck, and we'll be hitting a whole lot more states for the Four Corners. So it's a movement. It's a movement. So go ahead and rock with us, y'all, especially my North Carolina folk. Tiffany and Renee, you and Daniel, man, I can't wait to see you guys do this ride, man. You guys are going to enjoy it, and I can't wait to see the footage that you guys collect on this trip. I grabbed some footage, but you know, I'm just not good when it comes to that, man. I got so much footage, and then I just never edit it. So I'm depending on you, Tiffany, Renee, and Daniel, to get out there and do your thing and bring back the footage so everybody else can see how beautiful the state of North Carolina is. It's your boy Retro, man. I got to get out of here, man. Go get me some rest. Tomorrow is going to be a pretty busy day. And so we got to make it do what it do. Shout out to the Most Wanted, and also Beat Cancer Then Ride. You've seen their commercials earlier. We'll play those here in a little bit. It's your boy Retro. I'm out of here. All right. It's time to bed down for the night. Talking about a serious hurricane coming this way from the Virginia area. And I'm not going to be going down this mountain. So it's time to get a little shut-eye.
Y'all make sure y'all check out the Retro Philosophy Show on YouTube with my man Retro. Like, subscribe, comment, share, copy the link, put it on Instagram in your bio, put it on your Facebook page. Send it to your mama, text it to somebody. But y'all make sure y'all follow this page, Retro Philosophy.
Coming up the coast, nice little ride. We stopped here at Neptune's, local hangout spot for bikers and everything, and a little seafood. So we're gonna get a little bite to eat right across from the water. So you know, we're just up here having a good time, checking out some of the bikes. That's fire right there. Yeah, so.
Community that we have to take care of. We have kids that are depending on us. I call them my scholars, I call them my future leaders, because that's what they are. When I let them know, don't forget about where you were raised, be proud of where you come from and give back. It seems more family in Riverview Gardens. And it would just be wonderful to get some people to get some of those jobs and help us get these scholars where they need to be. There's a new view on the horizon where learning is required.